In this episode, we're going to be discussing the things we've never talked about online. We wanted to share a trigger warning because we will be talking about sensitive topics relating to grief, self-harm, depression, and medical issues. We're very excited to be able to open up in this space, and we hope this helps anyone who needs it. Welcome to the very last episode of season 1.
That's crazy. Guys, this has been so fun. I've really enjoyed this.
I'm sad it's coming to an end, but I'm also so excited to actually be able to hear what you guys want to hear from us.
We keep being we keep thinking of episodes and topics and stuff, and then being like, fuck, it would just be so much more useful if we knew what people wanted to hear.
And also just to ask you, because it's still a surprise.
Exactly.
Embargo.
But also just to hear you guys' thoughts, because this whole time we finished an episode being like, ooh, what are people gonna think about it? So
I really wonder. And we have this thing with I have this thing with social media. If I ever think a video is not gonna do well, it usually does really, really well.
Yeah.
So I feel like there's certain episodes where I'm like, oh, obviously it was a really fun episode and stuff. But I'm like, oh, there are other better episodes.
Yeah.
But I wonder what episode is people are gonna really connect with and appreciate.
So please let us know. Let us know what you guys think, and also what you guys want to hear from in our next season. But I think for this episode, we are gonna touch on a few of the things we haven't really ever talked online. It's a little bit more of a serious episode, I think. And it's also personal. I think also a little bit hard for us to talk about. So please bear with us. I think it's hard to have these conversations just in private. So maybe it'll be a little bit harder to have them in public as well. But
I think the main reason we wanted to talk about these things is because even when we've shared snippets of it on socials, we have had so many people reach out and be like, thank you so much for sharing, I really appreciate this. I'm also going through a similar situation and stuff, and I think it's very easy to think that you are completely on your own, and I know all three of us have felt like that with regard to these topics. And I think for me, because my grief isn't just my auntie just died. It was a very, very long thing. She'd been in hospital for 6 months. She'd been in the ICU. I got a call from my mum. I was on the way back from Hawaii actually in April, and I got a call from my mum when I landed saying Jane had been taken into emergency surgery, and then she just never left the hospital, which is insane. And having to deal with that for so long, and just knowing how poorly she was, and also just how miserable she was in hospital. And for those of you who don't know, Jane was tetraplegic. So Jane was disabled from the neck down. She had an accident 23 years ago. She just fell off her bike, which is again a sore spot for my family. The fact we live in Amsterdam.
Yeah, and bike maniacs sometimes.
On our electric bike. When my mum came, she was on the back of my electric bike having a panic attack every time we went somewhere. But she fell off her bike in London 23 years ago and has been disabled from the neck down since. And honestly just had a very traumatic life. And I think I really struggle with the idea that she had to, we talk about it all the time, the idea that everything happens for a reason and stuff. And I really struggle to believe that.
Yeah. With
Jane, because I just think she was the most incredible person ever, and the fact she had to have a life the way that she did, and of course she made the most out of it. She had the loveliest life from what she made from it and her mindset, but it doesn't sit right with me, the idea that she had to go through so much. And what I think truly inspired me, I remember literally being in grade 8, and we had to do a presentation on who is your biggest inspiration. Yeah. And I did a presentation on Jane. Oh. Yeah. That's so I was cute. Just so proud to be able to be this is my auntie, and this is everything she's done, and this is who she is, and this is why she inspires me, and blah blah. And I feel even now when I meet new people or talk to my friends about Jane or tell stories and stuff, I just feel so proud that I got to know her. Yeah. And I got her for 23 whole years of my life. That's more than so many people can say. And I think it's just so hard when you are going through grief like that, especially when you then she passed away in September, and I flew home the day before she passed away, and then just had to come back to Amsterdam.
Yeah. And you had a trip, right? Which trip? Didn't we go somewhere? You went somewhere, and then the trips between her when she passed away and the funeral.
Yeah, because so then I had to come back, obviously just keep working, going to like Amsterdam girlies events.
Yeah.
And then we literally went away for my sister's birthday, which we'd already booked. We'd booked for months, and we were like, no, we're gonna go, because we hadn't really had the chance to be together as well, like my mum, my sister, and I. And then we went to New York.
Yeah.
And then I went to Vancouver, and then I came home, and I was home for like 2 days. Or not even. I was home for 1 day, and then I had to fly back home for the funeral.
Yeah.
And like just the fact, I mean, as well, when you're not in the environment that it happens in, like I know you can relate to this with Pao, like with your grandma, like you just don't process it the same way. And even when you're not around people that are also going through it, like I speak to my mum and my sister like so often. I speak to my sister every single day, and we just say it's so hard to process it when you're not around other people that are also trying to deal with it.
Yeah, I think maybe more like when you're not around where she was, or like, so I lost my grandma this year, and I feel like I'll touch on it a little bit, but she's obviously, she lived in Colombia, and like she lived actually in the house with us, with my dad. She was my dad's mom, and we grew up with her also like all the time, like at home. She lived in Colombia my whole life, in Cali, my same city. But then she passed away. I actually couldn't go so she had cancer, and whenever we found out that it was going to be kind of like, it was really going really badly, that's when I flew to Colombia, and like I spent a few days with her. She was thankfully still fine at that moment. Like we still had all conversations. All her kids flew in from like the US and Australia and everything. And then I had to fly back to Amsterdam, which was horrible, but at the same time, she still hadn't passed away at that time. So like, it was fine. We kept FaceTiming, but that declined very quickly. And then when she did pass away, I couldn't be there. So I didn't like go through it with my family. I didn't go to a funeral. I didn't go to the mass that they did. I like have been so removed from it that like now I'm going home literally tomorrow, and I'm like, in my head she's still there. So like that's why I'm like, I actually haven't really processed it. Like I feel like you've processed it a little bit more by being able to like talk to your family about it. My family also doesn't really talk much about anything like emotional wise. But yeah, I think being far, I mean, is hard because you're not going through those feelings every day. You like life goes on, and you have to like go back to work, like you said. Like I remember you came back from being home, and then like I think you gave yourself like maybe 3 days or 4 days of, I remember you were alone, and I was like, are you okay?
No, that was after the funeral. That wasn't after she died.
Oh, well, see,
I came back after the funeral, and I literally was like, I'm such a person that like I need to be around people.
Yeah.
The way I couldn't even function. Like I was like, I was on my own for 3 straight, and that was in the Caymans as well. So I was in the house, and I was just like, I just cannot speak to a single person. And
I was so worried because I was here and Nat was in the Cayman Islands.
We were like texting each other, and
texting Bells, because again, like I want to be there for you, but also I'm someone that I need time alone when I'm going through stuff. So I'm like, I also respect that you need a time alone, but I also know you, and I know that you need people around you. So then I was like, what's going on? And then I think there was like a whole 24 hours in which you didn't text me back, and like you're like literally a 20-minute walk away from my house, and I was like, should I go? I was like, nah, I think I'm gonna like go by Bar Mash and like drop her off at the door, like drop it off at your door, because I like don't want to, I don't want to intrude, but I also like, I don't know what, I was so worried.
And then I also felt guilty because I was like, I had this block. I was like, I can't even like communicate with you anything. And then I knew you would be worried, but I was also just like, I literally just don't have it in me.
But that's the last thing in your mind also. Like I feel
experienced anything like that.
Yeah. And then I texted Nat, I was like, I'm really worried. Have you heard from Bells?
Yeah, and I was like, and no, like, you should go over.
Yeah.
I was like, I don't know worried as well.
And then I was like, Bells, I understand you want your privacy. Like, I don't know what I said, but I was like, I'm just checking in. And you were like, no, it's okay. I'm okay. But then again, like, I mean, I still, even though that was after the funeral, like, you were still very much going through it. I mean, you're still very much going through it right now. And like, I think you gave yourself 3 days off of like our work. And then we had an Amsterdam Girlies event. And I was like, I can do it alone. I think it was also a very small event. And you're like, no, like, I'll go. So then it's a hard thing when you just have to go back to your own life.
Life does go on, which is really hard. And I think what I find hard is that we're kind of the same, as like, we do just like bury emotions.
Yeah.
And we just like I haven't even begun to process how I feel like about it. And it's like the little things, like the other day we were like sorting out our house and I was going through my memory box and I found loads of great Christmas cards from Jane. And I was like, that was a Christmas card she sent me last year.
Yeah.
And like last night I was just like watching like little old videos from like our camcorder growing up, and it hits you at really weird moments.
Yeah.
And like even like randomly, like when we were in New York, we went to see Wicked, and Jane fucking loved musicals.
Yeah.
I swear to you, the curtains opened, so did my tear ducts. I started sobbing.
Yeah.
Just like sat there, just all I could think of was like, fuck, like I just wish Jane, like I could leave and tell Jane about it. Or like read a book. And I'm like there are some really special books to me now because they were the last books that I talked to Jane about.
Yeah.
And that just kills me as well, the fact, like even talking about this now, I can't comprehend that she's not here.
Yeah.
Which I think is normal.
Yeah.
But I just don't know like when that will change.
Yeah, or if it will. I think it's also like I don't know. For example, I'm thinking about Emily Kaiser, that influencer who lost her child, her son, and like how she's been very open about her grief on social media. And I think that probably is very comforting to hear. Like I haven't processed at all that my grandma passed away. Like I'm not even in step 1. So I actually when I hear you talk about grief, I'm like, I've never had that. Yeah. Like I've literally never experienced that because I'm so far away from it. Again, we're burying our emotions. But I think it's like maybe it is very comforting to see other people go through it. Like
honestly, like I did listen, she like did this like video a few weeks ago about like grief being a friend, and you wouldn't want that friend to go away because it would mean that the love you had for that person had gone away. And I think that really helped, just like hearing. I also like finding like little quotes and like things about grief because it helps to articulate feelings you don't know how to articulate. And I think that's really important, is just being able to feel understood in your grief. And so like I will talk to Tallulah about, like my sister, about it, and I will try and like understand it from different people's perspectives. And there's so many podcasts and everything online, and there are people that go and think, like Emily Kaiser, for example, that will just be able to articulate something, or will be going through therapy and their therapist have said something cool. Talking to friends who have also been through not necessarily something similar, because every situation is unique, but that have also been through something.
I think that's also why we wanted to do this episode and talk about it, like, because it's always comforting to hear someone on social media that has gone through something that you're going through and that no one kind of talks about. Also, like yesterday we were at the book club and that girl mentioned something that made you feel very like seen, right?
There was a girl at our book club who we're like friends with, and she had lost her mum really young, and she was kind of talking, because I think I said this earlier, like I am one of the kind of people that believe everything happens for a reason. Apart from Jane, I'm like, there is no reason on this earth that could mean that someone would have to, like Jane would have to live a life like that. And it hurts me so much. And then yesterday at the book club, this girl was saying like, you know, everything does happen for a reason. And she's like, even if I had the opportunity to go back and change my mum dying, like I don't know if I necessarily would, because I wouldn't be the person I am today. And I was kind of like, that really shocked me hearing that in that moment, because I was like, okay, so it almost made me feel as though there is a light at the end of the tunnel. Like not that it will ever change and grief will ever change, but that there will be one point in my life where I think, it's so difficult, it's so far, I can't even say it, but like that there will be a point in my life where I'm like, oh, this all happened for a reason. And it kind of like makes me recoil to say that, because I so truly do not believe that. But hearing this girl say it yesterday, I was like, whoa, okay, maybe this does happen for a reason. And even I know you, like the kind of topic you wanted to discuss with your endometriosis and your fertility and stuff, like maybe even one day you will look at that and go, maybe this did happen for a reason.
Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, yeah, in general, just like grief is such an interesting but also like hard emotion, and it comes in like so many different things. And for me, obviously, like a big thing has been with endometriosis. It's basically this hormonal, I hate calling it like an issue, but it's like a disease. I don't know if I forget if it's classified as a disease, but it is actually an autoimmune disease. And it's basically when the uterus lining grows outside of your uterus when you menstruate. And sometimes it can like form kind of, so to say, clots and stuff like that. And I've had it ever since I got my first period, or at least I think so. And that's what the doctors think. Yeah, I don't know if it's like so linked to grief, but it's still something that you deal with in silence. So in a way, maybe it is, because grief is like not something you see on your face, like a scar that you're like dealing with. If you walk out on the street, no one knows that like Jane is gone, right? But you have to go on with your life constantly being like, this is part of me now, you know? And like,
I suppose like in a way you're almost grieving for, like, obviously you will still be able to have a family and everything, but it is not going to be as easy as you once believed it to be.
Yeah, I guess it's
grieving for that opportunity.
Yeah, it's more just like something I carry with me in my day to day. Like I don't think about it every day, and it's not like a major, like, so to say, crutch in my life or like disability or anything. It's something that is just in me, and has like resulted in some potential future complications. But it's more, I guess, my mind, where I'm like, I've talked to you guys a lot about this, and I don't actually think I've ever talked about it online, but growing up I've always known I wanted to be a mom. So obviously then being diagnosed with endometriosis, which can result in infertility or like just not having the chance to have kids, there's surgeries and stuff, and obviously like with IVF and everything, things are easier. So when I go to my doctors, like they don't make it a big deal, which is nice, but sometimes I'm also like, this is a big deal to me. Like if I can do something now that will make sure I can have kids in the future, like I want to do that, and I want this to be taken seriously. But then I also get that it's not this like, it's not like cancer, it's not, you know, like a thing that will have a like, I don't know how to fully explain it, but I guess that's just something I carry with me every once in a while, where especially now being in my 20s, being in a stable relationship, like I often do, and I talk a lot about this with Marcus, I do have the thought of like, maybe I should just like have a child now, because I want to be a mom so bad. But that's such a scary thing to say, because I'm not ready to have a child.
You'll never be ready.
No, I know, that's what people say.
It's what we hear.
What people say. But yeah, it's just something that I carry with me constantly and think a lot about. So that's also why I'm going to get my eggs frozen in March. So that's also something that is like kind of not like a taboo to talk about, but like it's not what a lot of people talk about, because
especially at your age.
Because I am still 24, and like technically I still have until I'm 35 to like get pregnant naturally. But it's just, I think also with endometriosis, I dealt with it for a while, and I think a lot of women deal with it not knowing that they have it, and that in itself can also be like a whole miserable, isolating process. Because
what were the symptoms? Like, what were things you were going through that you were like, what is this, whenever, before it got diagnosed?
The biggest thing was like the most intense, painful periods. And it's so interesting, because I think so many women have really painful periods, and it just gets excused as like, oh, that's just what you just have a bad period then, you know. And that happens a lot. And just because you have a very painful period doesn't mean it's endometriosis, but that's the one big sign.
Essentially your uterus lining is getting tangled up in everything.
Exactly. And that's where the infertility links to, because if it goes into your fallopian tubes or like into any other like organ and like creates clots, like it can create blockages and all that stuff, and those can also then be painful, because it feels like maybe some kind of thing pressing into something. So that can happen for some people. But it was literally like, it's crazy to say this, but when I went to my doctor and he was like, describe the pain, I was literally like 10 out of 10. Like I've never felt such, like my last period that I remember, because now I don't get my period anymore, because that's like the only solution for now. But the last period I had, I literally, in the middle of the night, I didn't sleep for a single second, and I was like, I need to go to the hospital. Like I actually was like I'm gonna die, even though I know I wasn't gonna die, you know, but that's like the pain level. It was so intense. And thankfully I'm lucky to have like such supportive parents. So my mom literally like was like, we're booking you a flight to Vienna, this is crazy, you know. And then I got like MRIs and everything, so that was kind of like sorted and diagnosed then in that moment instantly, which I was so grateful for, because so many women go through this and it's like debilitating, because for me it's always been like my period the week before already is like painful. It's not like to the point where it's so painful you can't do anything anymore, but then it's the week before that it starts, then it's during, and you're like, I like some days I actually could barely get out of bed. Yeah. And that's so unlike me. Like I hate not doing stuff, you know, and not feeling like somewhat productive. And so that's like 2 weeks of your month that you're like not feeling 100%, or like actually feeling pretty shitty and like in pain and all that stuff.
Do you sometimes find it hard, because I know there's no cure for endometriosis?
A little bit. Like, I mean, technically the only cure is removing your uterus, which sounds insane. And then basically some women I think have done it where they, once they're done having kids, which basically induces menopause, which is also crazy, like health wise, you know. It's just not. And also I'm obviously not an expert, but this is what I just know from like going to the doctors and like doing my own research. But yeah, it is just quite frustrating. Also for me right now, the only like solution is taking the pill and not allowing my period to come. So just like every day taking the pill,
like the contraceptive
exactly
pill.
The contraceptive pill. And that's just like, it's just frustrating, because you're like, this also doesn't feel healthy, you know, and it doesn't feel
it's like
good.
You're doing something to your body that like, you know, is not the natural way. Like a lot of people stop taking the pills because they're like, wait, this is messing with the natural way of my body to function.
You were like, because you were kind of like, I want to see how it goes, I want to try and stop taking it.
I tried it and then I was like, I can't. That did not go well. That was like way too intense again. And that, I guess that was also frustrating again, because I was like shit, like then I have to rely on this pill that I've been on since I was 15. And I also don't know where this has come from and why this has happened to me. But yeah, I guess the most intense part for me is like maybe not the cure, but like right now I'm still in the mindset of like, if I'm not able to have kids, which I don't like to overthink, but it's like such an important part of what I want for my future, that if that like somehow was taken away from me because of this shitty, annoying illness that I'm dealing with, I don't know, like that would be really hard to deal with. And I guess like, again, because I'm in a like stable relationship, and in my head growing up, I thought I'd be like engaged by now and married. I always joke about this, how I was like, by 24 this is gonna happen, and then by 28, because my mom was also 28 when she had me and my brother, I'm gonna have kids. But yeah, it's just this battle, I guess, of every day, like if I don't start trying now, and that's like a very intimate thing to say, like it's not like I actively want to have kids, but I do really want to have kids, you know. But
it's like, I remember we were in Vienna when you went to the doctor, and he mentioned about like kind of like the timeline that you would have to maybe adapt to, and you're like, wait, but then like when I was getting engaged, I was like, I'm not ready to get married now. And these girls were like, but you need to be engaged, like you need to say that you're ready to be engaged like 3 years before, so that then your fiance has time to go find a ring, and then you get proposed to, and then it's 2 years or whatever. Exactly. So it's the same thing. I remember the doctor, you came back from that appointment, you were like, the doctor kind of told me that this is my timeline. So then now I have to think, wait, how does that affect my life now?
All the pre-years, exactly.
All the pre-years. Like since then, you have been like actively, you and Marcus have been thinking about your future a lot, and like the timeline and how that means in your life. And like for me, for example, that would be a scary thing. Yeah. And just like knowing, almost like it's almost like taking your autonomy out of.
Yeah, a little bit, especially because I love my life so much. Like like I genuinely say that every day. I wake up and I feel so grateful for the life I have, for getting to spend every day. We talked about that in another podcast, like working together, like how special is that? And of course that would look so different with a kid. But yeah, it's a silent thing that goes on in my head a lot, that is like hard to like also admit and be like, this is what I want for my future, and maybe I need to like start thinking about that right now, even though that's not what I want to think about right now as a 24-year-old.
But it's normal that you do, and like that you and I think you have a very good positive also way of seeing life, like we all do, that you're like, you know what, this is something like kind of scary and crazy that I do have to go through and deal with in the day-to-day, but like things will happen in the moment that they need to happen.
Yeah.
And like if you do end up having kids younger than maybe you would wish, like I'm sure in the moment that you have a baby you'll be like, this is the best thing that's ever happened to me, and like cannot imagine how my life without it. Like so
true.
Then things will just end up like, but yeah, I mean I guess it's still like a scary thing, right?
Yeah, but I do believe so strongly that like it's gonna be okay. Even though the worry comes in, like I'm like, it's gonna be okay, you know. I have my girls. I got my girls.
I know. It's like, I think we talk a lot in this podcast like about mindset and about how like a positive mindset can be such an important thing. But like for you, Nina, for example, like I know obviously you have really struggled with like
Sorry, this makes me want to throw up. Sorry, never mind. Keep going. What are you laughing about? No, I'm fine. I'm fine.
I'm not gonna say you're laughing.
Sorry.
Yeah, something we always talk about on this podcast is like positive mindset. And I know, like, for example, with you, Nina, you have really struggled with like mental health disorders and like depression and like self-harm and stuff. Like, how have you managed to even switch, like go from where you were to now where you are?
It's such a weird thing to think about. I think we were laughing because I was like, oh, I'm so comfortable talking about this. It'll be okay. But also
and now it's your turn.
Literally makes me want to throw up. But no, I think so. Obviously, we all kind of pick topics that we wanted to discuss on this that are important to us that like we've never really opened up. And I think for me, like one big thing was I really dealt with like a period of my life where I was very depressive. I don't even know if that's the correct word. Like I was just depressed when I was really young, actually.
Yeah, you were really young.
I was
16 or something.
16 or 17. A very interesting thing about depression that I learned later is that your brain kind of blacks out a lot of like things that you go through in the moment when you're going through like very high traumatic moments. Then I learned, because I would go to therapy and be like, I don't exactly remember this one specific thing, but I like, you know, I was 16 or 17. I do know that this happened or whatever. So I actually don't really know exactly the age. I think I was 16 or 17. But basically, like, I was dating a boy. As per usual, I was dating a boy.
Where it all starts.
I was dating a boy, which was like my first ever boyfriend. I was so in love. But I was also dealing at the time with like other specific things. So like I had an issue just at home that I was kind of dealing with. I didn't have the best relationship with my mom. Like my parents are divorced and my dad moved out of the house when I was really young. And then I lived with like my mom and my older brother, Chris, and then me, because my brother Nico had already left for uni. And I was like dating this guy and he was my dream boy and I was so happy, and then we broke up. And at the moment when we broke up, I think that like I've learned that I am a very high sensitive person. There's like a name for it. It's like persona altamente sensible in Spanish. So it's like a high sensitive person.
Highly sensitive right?
person. So I feel things very, very deeply, apparently, is what I hear from my therapist.
What are we told?
I've been told. And I think that was the very first time in my life where I felt those intense feelings of like heartbreak. Like I was so heartbroken because I loved this person so deeply, and then obviously that got kind of shattered. And at home I was having a little bit of issues with my mom, in which I didn't feel very seen, and also like I felt like I was getting attacked. Like I was just a teenage with a mom. At 16 she is a saint. Like my mom is my favorite person, but like I just didn't get along with her in that moment. So then I didn't have that support at home. And then I also at that same time started going through some issues, like kind of like bullying issues a little bit, with a girl that like used to be my friend, and then I messed up our friendship. So she like turned against me with her whole squad of friends. And it was like 2 separate friend groups, mine and hers, and like all her friend group wanted to like literally kill me. Like they would like say the meanest shit to me. And obviously then when I broke up with my boyfriend, they also like started kind of going for him and like kind of getting at me through him. So they would like flirt with him, and like anyways, I think all of that kind of like bundled up. And now actually looking back at it, this was an era of Tumblr, and I remember being in Tumblr, and there were so many pictures in Tumblr that were very, very negative, very like dark, sad, even like sad quotes. And like I would see a lot of pictures about self-harm, and you would see girls with scars and things like that. And I think that's kind of like, it just fueled my fire of like sadness in that moment. And I think that's where my idea came of like, I'm sad, I need to like harm myself in a way. So then I started again, like I don't remember exactly the very first time I did it, but I do remember I had like, I don't know if this is too graphic, but I just like, my brother had obviously razors because he's a boy. So I would like break his razors and like get one little, you know, there's like, it comes with like 5 razors. Yeah. I would get one. And then that's kind of like, I remember how I would do it. But it was a feeling of like, I have control over my pain versus other people. Yeah. I remember that being like, I control how much pain I feel, not this boy and not this girl at school. And then also it was kind of like a call for help, I guess. Cause like I remember sitting on my bathroom floor and like, I guess just harming myself with this thing in my wrists. And then I was like, no one's coming to check on me. Like my mom wouldn't, because I was just in my room. Like to my mom, I was probably just like, I don't know, doing whatever, scrolling down Tumblr, exactly. Yeah. And I'd be like, I remember having the thoughts of like, if I die in this bathroom floor, like no one will find me for so long. And like my brother also was obviously having his own life and like doing his things. And then again, in that moment, that fuels your sadness of like no one cares.
No one cares, yeah.
And I remember like I would tell my dad like, I'm having fights with my mom, like I want to come live with you. But obviously my dad, respecting I guess the agreement that he had with my mom, was like, I think, you know, it's okay, like you need to talk to your mom about it. So then that happened for a few months and I would just like hide. I remember wearing this like thick ass bracelet that was like this woven bracelet that was it was like a mandala thing.
Oh yeah.
And it was, I swear to God, like this thick. Like it was so thick and I would wear it on my wrist for people at school not to see. And I would always like have a sweater hanging on my arm so that people wouldn't see my wrists. And then at school when I couldn't help self-harm myself that way, I would get so upset when I saw my ex or something and I would like walk against my school is like a brick wall. And I would just like walk against a brick wall with like my
your hands,
my hand like in a fist and just like go like that and then just go like, and it would open all of my knuckles because I would just like put my fist against the wall and then just like put pressure and then walk. And that was my way. And so I think that kind of like ended in a way after months of that happening. No one ever knew, like my mom, no one ever found out until one day like I got called into the psychologist, like the psychologist from school called me in and he's like, so like, he said a teacher brought it to his attention that I had some like some things on my wrists and my finger and my knuckles. And I was like, what? I was like, who, me? Like, what do you mean? I was like, what?
Couldn't be me.
And he's like, yeah, like and I just denied it to the day that I died. And then he was like, can I see your wrists? And I was like, no, absolutely not.
You're a liar.
You're crazy. And then it was all in that same meeting, like just him and me. And then he was like, look, I have to tell one of your parents because this is a very dangerous thing. And like, he kind of helped me in that moment. I don't remember exactly what we talked about. And then he was like, who do I tell? Like, who do you want me to call? Obviously, I had my issues with my mom. So I was like, just call my dad. But I remember that moment of like, he called my dad and then my dad just like, obviously I guess was like, what the fuck? Like on the phone, he's like, what? Because I was the happy kid. I was the kid that always had all the friends, had my perfect boyfriend, like had a happy life. And like, I guess to him, it was a huge shock and he had to come into the school in that moment. Like, so he came like 20 minutes later and he walked in and like, he was bawling, crying. He was so scared. Can you imagine your little girl like at 16? And we talked to the counselor. He was like, you guys need to go to the psychiatrist and then also the dermatologist. So that same day we went to the psychiatrist and we went to the dermatologist. And I think what kind of at the end helped me get through it was that I was then moved into my dad's house. The psychiatrist was like, if you're having any issues with your mom, just move to your dad's house for a little bit. So I was like, I started living with my dad and I have a little brother. And so he was always around and I kept being like, if anything happens to me, like I can't leave this little, I don't know. Then that kind of changed my little, like my suicidal kind of thoughts into, just like, I can't do that to him. Like, how will he feel if like suddenly I'm not there? And like, I can't imagine having to go through that as a little kid with like I just don't know. I think that kind of brought me back into reality. But it was a horrible thing. I didn't stop it in that moment. I think my dad, like, obviously my dad had all the creams and stuff to like put over my, cuts and stuff. So then I started cutting my I can't speak right now. I started cutting my hips because then he obviously couldn't see my hips. So I would do that still while I was living with my dad. But then I got on antidepressants that day also. But my dad would like manage all of it. He would give me the antidepressants and he would like clean my cuts and everything. And then slowly with my little brother, every day, I think there was one time where he was like, what is that on your wrists? And he was like so young. He's 12 years younger than me. So like I was 16 or 17. He was literally like 4. Yeah. He asked me, and in that moment I was like, oh my God, I can't keep doing this. So then that's kind of when that stopped. But I've realized that, yeah, something that I carry with me to this day is I'm very self-destructive, which is something I always have to navigate. Like anytime anything happens that's really, really bad in my life, in quotations, and bad in quotations, I tend to like want to hurt myself in a way. And I always have to navigate through it and like kind of go back into therapy, or just maybe it's something that is with you always. I remember the doctors were like, this is something chemical in your brain. But that also makes you feel like, well, then I'm stuck with it always. Like, what do you mean it's something chemical in my brain? Like, is it just, again, like a disease that I have? Like, it was kind of hard for me to understand that.
What I've heard just in general, because I studied psychology, is like people are more predispositioned to like certain things. And then I guess you even talking about with your boyfriend breaking up, your mom being difficult, like then with triggers that gets like activated,
like
right?
Schizophrenia and things like that, like you are more or less likely to have it. And then it's
like certain triggers, so you can like live your life being completely happy and healthy if nothing ever triggers anything, you know? Even if you have a higher predisposition towards it.
It is always definitely comes up with some sort of triggering thing that's like upsetting me in that moment. But it also has to be very intense. So then like recently with these guys already in my life, I also went through something different that was also very intense. And like I started going to therapy after it because it was something that was very kind of painful, but I didn't feel anything. Like I was numb to it. And people around me were like, are you okay that you just went through this thing? And I was like, I feel fine. So then I was like, it's okay. Like I feel fine. But I was thankfully old enough to be like, I'm aware that I should be, this is very intense and this is important to me. Like, why am I not feeling anything towards it? So then I went back into therapy, and that's when I discovered about being this highly sensitive person. But you guys can look it up and maybe you guys feel kind of like related to it. But I was like, or identified by it, but I looked it up and I was like, this is not me. I don't really feel many things. But I learned that after kind of like harming yourself so much when you go through something hard, my body kind of like took this other path of like, well, you know what? Then we're not going to feel anything. So then it's like a way to kind of
just stop doing it.
Yeah. It's like a protective kind of like mechanism that you're like, well, if you're going to try and hurt yourself in some sort of way every time something happens, then we're not going to be feeling things when they happen. And so then that's, again, something you have to go through. But like, I think therapy at the end of the day has always been the one thing that I'm like, this is the most healing thing. Like this is, again, when you like can learn so much about yourself. Like even that, I was like, oh, wow, I do feel things. I just need to like kind of navigate how to get in touch with my emotions again. So I always say like to anyone that's ever like going through something hard, like, be open about it, because the number one thing is you want to keep it private, right? Like you want to hide it. I didn't want to tell anyone.
It always becomes a bit shameful.
Oh yeah.
Like if it's a secret, it becomes a shameful thing the way you feel.
Yeah, like always kind of like try and tell someone you trust, and then if it is actually an issue, like something like self-harm is something very scary, like you do need help from a professional. Like that is at the end of the day. Like, yeah,
especially as a 16-year-old kid. Like,
yeah.
That's just, I feel like it's crazy that you were going through such a difficult thing so unbelievably young. And like at that time, you feel so old, of course. You feel like you've got everything figured out and you know what you're doing and everything, but you were literally a baby.
Yeah, I think for me, the thing that's weird, even to talk about it, this is, I think, maybe why I've never talked about it, is because now, looking back, I'm like, that wasn't even that big of an issue. I feel kind of like, not to invalidate my feelings, but I'm like, it wasn't like, there's people that literally are dying. Like Kim, there's
people that are dying.
Anyways, there's people that are going through horrible things and they're so strong and so resilient. So I kind of am like, well, even when I tell this story one day, like, that wasn't even that big of a thing, you know, like you say it, obviously I know
that's such a this generation thing though. It's because we always, because you hear so many stories from everyone else and everything that other people are going through, even when like I have shared short bits about my grief on social media, people will reply and be like, thank you so much for sharing this, blah blah blah. I lost my mum and dad last year, and blah. I'm like, fucking hell, someone's lost both their parents.
Yeah.
Mine means nothing in comparison to that. But
exactly.
I think that's something really, really important about these things that you are going through, is that like you can be going through something and someone can be going through something subjectively or objectively worse, but it doesn't diminish what you're going through.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it doesn't mean there's any less space for you.
Yeah, definitely. I think, and it's always important to share. Like obviously we do social media, for example. We're always taking pictures of me holding things. This is such a weird thing, but I'm I literally like, I have scars on my wrists that I'm so proud to wear. Every time anyone asks me about them, I'm the happiest person to share, because I'm like, that did build me into the person that I am today. Like, I don't have no shame around it, blah, blah, blah. But like, it's still, when I'm like taking pictures on social media, for example, I'm like trying to hide and there's been literally, I've been doing social media now for like 2.5 years. Only two times have I gotten responses on my DMs being like, are those scars? Like, and then this one girl was like, I could recognize that anywhere. Like, and I'm like, it's a very sensitive topic. You don't want to trigger people. That's also why I've never talked about it. Even this, like today, I'm like, I was like, we need to do trigger warnings, because in order to fully talk through these topics, I want to be like, there is details to be shared.
Yeah.
But then also they can be very triggering. And I think they're just important things
it's a really tricky balance on social media, which I think is why for us, we were finally ready to share these stories here on this platform, because again, like there is certain like psychologies to different social media platforms, and like, for example, a podcast, like you guys listen to this obviously do like care about what we have to say, understand who we are as people, and you know, this is going to be the last episode of this season, so you'll have listened to us ramble on here, there and everything, and I think you literally feel sometimes that you're treading on eggshells.
I think
with what you talk about.
I think just with this episode, I think just in conclusion, we just wanted to share things that are hard to find comfort in with other people. Like, if you are going through anything that we mentioned or anything similar, like there are so many people around you that are going through or have gone through similar things that you just don't know. That's why I think it's important to share it with the people around you. When I went through this thing that I won't talk about today, but I went through this other thing, I remember I didn't tell one of my friends about it. And that was the one friend that had gone through the same thing like a month before me. And I would have found so much comfort in being like, oh my God, I trust her. I don't know why I didn't tell her, but like, she's far away. In the moment, I just told the people that were here. So just know who you trust, but like try and be open with your struggles, with the people around you that, you know, love you and support you, because maybe they'll be able to help you way more than you know and way more than you expect.
And the people around you, they want to help you. Like, they stick by you. They're your friends. They're around you for a reason. Yeah. And like, I would not have been able, like literally after Jane died, Emily would call me every single day. She was like, welfare check. I was like, are you alive? I didn't text her for a while. She was like, are you alive? Are you doing okay? Blah, blah, blah. And she was like, have you seen Nina and Nat? Like, where you seen the girls tonight?
Just but lean on your people.
Massively so.
Yeah. And we love you guys. We hope this was comforting in any way. And if you guys have any questions about any of this, our DMs are always open. I think this is a very exciting thing to be able to open the floor, and we can hopefully talk about this more in our own social medias in the future or in this podcast. So just let us know. And thank you for being here.
Thank you for being here.
Season 1. We love you, and we will see you.
We'll be back.
So soon.
Bye.